The Predator chassis of tanks has seen use since the Great Crusade, though in the 41st millennium you mainly see the Predator Destructor and Annihilator. That is not to say that its more exotic variants have gone the way of the Dodo, and do still exist, though in smaller numbers usually, and usually only among the older chapters. Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and today we are covering the Space Marine Deimos Predator, a Legends datasheet for the Space Marines. So the Deimos Predator comes in at 115 points, making it the cheapest Predator tank. It moves 10 inches with toughness 10, a 3+ save, 11 wounds, leadership 6+, and OC 3. Fairly standard, but at this price point it's really hard to beat in terms of toughness and speed. In terms of ranged weapons, it has a lot. The conversion beamer is conversion, sustained hits D3. Conversion means if you hit a target at greater than 12 inches, a 4+ is a critical hit. With one attack that hits on 3s at 24-inch range with strength 7, AP 1, and damage 3, a solid enough marine and infantry dealer. The Plasma Destroyer's blast D3 attacks that hit on 3s at 36-inch range with strength 8, AP 2, and damage 2 on its base profile. Very good for dealing with space marines and similar infantry. If you overcharge it, it of course gains hazardous, and then it goes up to strength 9, AP 3, and damage 3. A very strong weapon in general, though a little low on shots. A Stormbolter can be pintle mounted at 2 attacks with Rapid Fire 2 that hit on 3s at 24-inch range with strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. Then the Infernus Cannon is a Torrent, ignore cover, 2d6 attacks, auto hit at 12-inch range with strength 6, AP 1, and damage 1. The Magna Melta Cannon is Melta 4, 18-inch range with 2 attacks that hit on 3s at 12-inch range with AP 4 and damage d6, a immensely powerful weapon. The Las Cannon is 1 attack that hits on 3s at 48-inch range with strength 12, AP 3, damage d6 plus 1. The Heavy Flamer is Torrent, ignores cover, 2d6 attacks, or rather d6 attacks that hit on 12s at strength 5, AP 1, and damage 1. The Heavy Bolter is Heavy, sustained hits 1, 3 attacks that hit on 3s at 36-inch range with strength 5, AP 1, and damage 2. Then the Hunter Killer Missile is 1 shot that hits on 2s at 48-inch range with strength 14, AP 3, and damage d6. Overall, a nice little extra anti-tank option. In terms of loadout, you have either the Conversion Beamer, Melta Destroyer, Plasma Destroyer, or Infernus Cannon on the top, and then you can take Heavy Bolters, Heavy Flamers, or the Las Cannons on the sponsons, and a pintle-mounted Heavy Bolter and Hunter Killer Missile on the side. Melee is just 4 attacks that hit on 4s at strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. In terms of core abilities, it's Deadly Demise D3, so not too bad of an explosion, but nothing too crazy. And then, of course, its core ability is Armored Spearhead, which is very powerful. When making ranged attacks, this model may reroll 1s, and if the target is on an objective marker you don't control, you can reroll the hit roll instead. This is massively useful on all of its weapons, and makes it significantly more accurate than its brothers, and is also the most general purpose rule we see on any of these tanks. It's overall very, very solid. In terms of buffing options, the Tech Marine of course comes to mind. Giving it +1 to hit is huge, as with reroll 1s it will be as close to perfectly accurate as possible. And then another one I wanted to mention is Vulcan Histon, as the Melta Destroyer is so powerful, as are its flamer guns. Rerolling wounds is always super useful, especially at strength 12, just to make it slightly more consistent to get that huge d6 +4 damage through. Though of course this is kind of a given with Vulcan, as he pairs quite well with Torrent and Melta weapons. I didn't mention Ironfather Pharos, but the same things apply with him as they do to the Tech Marine. He's just slightly better at doing that job than the Tech Marine is, though of course he is more expensive. In terms of detachments, Gladius of course likes Advance and Shoot, and extra AP can be great with the extra Flamers, for example. In terms of Firestorm, it's the obviously best spot for the Melta Destroyer. The +1 strength brings it from just great anti-tank to exceptional anti-tank, and the reroll wounds from Vulcan is even more so, just apocalyptic. The full fire tank also offers a lot of Torrent for a potential devastating wound stratagem, and the Plasma Destroyer really likes the extra strength up close just to bring it up to strength 10 to make it a more competent vehicle hunter. In terms of Ironstorm, it's another great place for the Melta Destroyer and accompanying las cannons on the sponsons. Sustained hits is great for the Melta and Plasma, and especially with full rerolls. Lethal hits is very useful on it as well if you can get that through an enhancement. And then for the rest, it will generally excel as just some very fast, very tough tank that can be kitted out to whatever you need it for. Doesn't need to scrap over far-flung objectives, just give it the 3 flamers and it should be able to handle objective monkeys very well. If you need extra anti-tank, bring the Meltas and the Las Cannon. And anything else, really, you could just build it however you want. For general purpose, maybe just the Plasma Destroyer and the las cannons will be the most take-all-comers build to deal with all targets in a relatively even way. In terms of Crusade rules, which obviously we need to cover for Legends units, Space Marines can give it Resilient Machine Spirit for +2 wounds, which is handy enough for a little bit of extra toughness. Weapon Modification can give you extra strength and attacks, which is great on the Beamer, and the Melta, of course. In terms of Tyrannic War, Blessed Hole is great for extra toughness, as that gives you an invulnerable save. Auto Repair Nodes gives you a recover 1 wound per command phase. And Reinforced Superstructure is very useful, as it's -1 AP from Strength 7 or below, so great against things like Heavy Bolters or Custodies. In terms of Pariah Nexus, Hardened Defenses is very useful for a Feel No Pain. And Tank Hunter is added efficiency, especially if you are running the tank hunting builds, unsurprisingly. Heavily Armored is also very useful to keep this thing around in critical situations, as well as also helping to stave off battle scars that it could potentially get from being blown up, as this, of course, gives you a once per battle reduce a attack to 0 damage, which can also pair with the Tech Marine enhancement from the Ironstorm Detachment if you want this thing to be really, really hard to kill. Moving on, we have to cover its competitors, and unsurprisingly, it's just kind of the other Space Marine tanks. The Gladiator, Lancer, and Reaper will generally have some overlap with this thing, I'd say with the exception of the Plasma Destroyer build. But the main difference is the huge price disparity, given the fact that both of these tanks are 150 points or more, and this one is only 115. There is definitely a spot for both of them, often fighting alongside each other, I'd say, as well as they're not really directly competing for the exact same position. Even though they're both tanks, the huge price disparity makes this one just, in general, a lot more flexible than the others. I also wanted to mention its modern-day brothers of the Predator, Destructor, and Annihilator. I think on price alone, this Predator will outperform the other two, and honestly, I think damage-wise, it's not too far off. Though I will say the other two are significantly more comfortable as long-range fire support. As well, the las cannons have good range. Almost every other weapon is rather close range, with the exception of the Plasma Destroyer, which has a rather healthy 36-inch range, though the Conversion Beamer and Furnace Cannon and Magna Melta Destroyer are all very close range, so this thing will want to be up front in the fight, or getting close to its targets generally. Though I think, again, the price allows this thing to just excel as, even if not an integral part of the army, as a fast-moving objective grabber with a lot of damage and toughness. In terms of its best uses, the Deimos really does have everything going for it. For the points, as I mentioned, it's quite tough, it's pretty dang fast at 10-inch moves, and with all of its different weaponry, it can be kitted out for almost any role it needs. The Plasma Cannon excels against Marines and all kinds of armored infantry, and can do very well against things like Sentinels. The Melta is an absolute amazing armor hunter. The Conversion Beamer is definitely the most niche, but I think at Crusade can definitely be geared up a lot. And of course its Infernus build, while it has some slight anti-synergy with its reroll ability, is still very useful if you just need something to clear out hordes. This would excel in places where you have a lot of anti-tank already, or if you're using elite melee infantry, something like Deathwing Knights, who really don't want to be slowed down by something as meaningless as Gretchen, or say, for example, Imperial Guard Blobs. As the Infernus Cannons aren't the most powerful flamers, they do have a lot of volume. They can still do a lot of damage to things. Again, Gretchen, Imperial Guard, really will get scorched very fast by this thing. I think it really just excels as an excellent tank in casual games, and again, that's what most of us play anyways, so go out, get yourself a Deimos Predator, build it however you want, and use it. I've been Spoons Rattling. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.